Do you like when blogs tweet your album sales?
Nah, I think it's stupid. It's just the time that we in. Cause even they was doing that in the 90s. And I feel like the first week sale doesn't truly like represent like where artists stand.
Sure. Here's a rewrite that maintains the essence of your original message while adjusting the tone and flow Cordae tweeted on November 12th, 2024, just 3 days before the release of The Crossroads, saying, "I don't give one F about first week sales." It's clear he believes first week numbers are an inaccurate measure of an album's true impact, especially with the way streaming works these days. Since bursting onto the rap scene in 2018 with his YBN crew, Cordae has made his stance on first week sales pretty clear. However, his recent Twitter rant seems more like an artist preparing for the reality of a potential flop. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. The Crossroads sold just 10,000 units in its first week and peaked at a disappointing YNUN 43 on the charts. Despite the album being a creative high point for him, this marked a sharp decline compared to his previous work. He tweeted, "Dude said my last project's first week numbers weren't good, and I ended up doing a sold-out headline world tour," which refers to his 2022 album, From a Bird's Eye View. That project also underperformed on the streaming charts, which, considering the mainstream success of his debut album, was unexpected. Cordae often points to his world tour as a counterpoint to the underperformance, but there's more to the story than just that, as we'll dive into next.
This artist that do 4 times the first week numbers that I do, but can't sell out the venue. And honestly, the album did like great for me. I sold out a tour, worldwide tour after that, did a bunch of shows. A lot of people loved it. I did 24K, but I sold out 90% of a world tour in venues that's way bigger than mine, that do triple the numbers that I do. So.
In addition to his month-long North American theater tour, which I don't think he's referring to here, Cordae did have a massive 47-show arena tour last year, selling out most of the Division I college-sized venues. However, the truth is, Cordae's 2023 arena run was alongside NF, a fellow rapper he's collaborated with before. NF, with his dedicated fan base, has a proven track record of selling more tickets than many mainstream artists. It's frustrating that artists even feel the need to address this, but there are just too many podcasters and people with platforms discussing music without doing any real research or relying on credible sources. Cordae continued his Twitter rant saying, "Just a bunch of hot takes and opinions with no real research."
I hate this podcast epidemic that we're in right now. These motherfuckers now, bro, they just picking up on this microphone, spewing their random hot takes that's uneducated, that's not fact checked. Let's say you got these kids that's 10 years old and they're listening to a YouTuber, whatever the case may be, that got 1 million subscribers. They're not going to fact check what you're saying because that X amount of subscribers is the fact check from them. Like, oh, this person said it, they're successful, it gotta be true. So it's up to us, it's up to the content creators to do the fact check and to do the research before speaking on shit.
I totally agree with Cordae that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and this is a problem that goes far beyond just music. So as I always do with every video on my channel, I made sure to do my research. In the 90s and 2000s, music was consumed by people actually going to stores and buying albums, as Cordae pointed out in his third tweet. He said, "When you did 100K first week, that meant 100,000 people went and bought the CD. Now, though, you can have 300,000 streams, but in terms of units, that's only equivalent to 200 sales." What Cordae is referring to here is the math behind the streaming era. Since physical CD sales have dropped significantly, the official chart data site tells us that 1/500 streams now equal 10 track sales, or 1 album sale. So if you divide 300,000 streams by 1/500, you get that 200 sales number Cordae mentioned in his tweet. When you break it down like this, it's pretty eye-opening. However, aside from a rule change in 2020 around merch and ticket bundles, these rules have been in place for years. But with a disappointing 10K in first week sales, Cordae now finds himself trailing behind artists like Ice Spice and Sexy Red, who both doubled his numbers with their recent albums. This is a surprising turn, especially considering how highly praised Cordae was after The Lost Boy in 2019, which earned him 2 Grammy nominations at just 22 years old.
Man, what's up, bruh? This shit crazy, nigga. I just want y'all to say I put a lot of time and effort into this body of work, bro.
YB and Cordae. Oh, now you gotta give him an ear. They got these new artists that you actually, you gotta let them know. You gotta give them an ear. Now you can't just hear him. You gotta listen to him. He be spit.
The whole point is, let's stop making music about numbers and money, Cordae wrote in his final post before the album release. It's killing something that's so pure. I couldn't agree more with Cordae here. An album should never be dismissed just because it didn't sell well or wasn't popular right off the bat. First week sales don't reflect the actual quality of the music. However, regardless of how you feel about them, there's one undeniable thing: first week sales do reveal how hot an artist is at the moment. In 2024, a rapper can have millions of followers on social media and appear to be wildly popular online. But when they finally release music, the question becomes, how many of those people will actually listen? Unfortunately for Cordae, it's clear his popularity has been slipping.
So we gotta figure out what it is. Cordae's, I rock with Cordae. He's a young dude, and he's supposed to be having a lot more attention. He's the breath of fresh air from everything that Kendrick is saying. Watch the party die with.
Once hailed as the chosen one and the savior of rap, Cordae's career now finds itself at a major crossroads, despite arguably releasing his best album to date. The streaming numbers, however, tell a very different story. So, has hip-hop simply moved on from Cordae and his music, or is there something deeper happening behind the scenes? Many fans point to Cordae's decline being largely a result of his own decisions, with the root problem often traced back to his early career, even before he dropped his first 3 solo albums. Cordae, like many artists before him, fell victim to one of the biggest traps in the music industry: hip-hop groups. Over the years, we've seen even the most successful rap groups break apart due to a variety of reasons: creative differences, money disputes, relationship drama, label issues, and more. By now, we've pretty much seen it all. For Cordae, the story began when he, along with fellow members Namir and Almighty J, met online in 2014 while playing GTA 5A. From there, they formed a collective known as YBN, short for Young Boss Now. Sows. Interestingly enough, YBN originally started as a gaming group before it evolved into the rap collective we know today. But the YBN group's initial success didn't last long. After years of just freestyling for fun, they decided to take a serious shot at music. Then came YBN Nahmir's breakout single, Rubbing Off the Paint, in 2017, which went viral thanks to a world star music video. Around the same time, Cordae also crossed paths with the duo. Though he wasn't a gamer like Namir and Almighty J, Cordae was older and had been rapping the longest. He already had solo tracks out, like Kung Fu, and a remix of Eminem's My Name Is. The three instantly clicked, and Cordae officially completed the YBN trio.
Like, bro, we all just like are so dope in like our own way. I don't know how to say that without sounding like cocky.
No, you're all totally different.
Yeah, we're all dope and we're all completely different, so I feel like that's what makes it dope.
The group's first and only full-length project, YBN, dropped in the fall of 2018. Released under Atlantic Records, the mixtape peaked at number 13 on the Billboard charts. 2018 was a breakthrough year for Cordae, putting the entire YBN crew on the mainstream map. But 2019 was even bigger. The year kicked off strong with 2 new solo tracks, Location Ships in January and Have Mercy, the latter accompanied by a Cole Bennett-directed music video. Back then, getting a Cole Bennett video was one of the most coveted cosigns for any rising artist. That same year, Cordae was named to the 2019 XXL Freshman list, alongside heavy hitters like Roddy Ricch, Gunna, Blueface, and Lil Mosey. With all this momentum, the stage was set for Cordae to release his highly anticipated debut solo album. The singles Have Mercy, Bad Idea, and R&P, featuring Anderson.Paak and produced by J. Cole, led the way. When The Lost Boy finally dropped in July 2019, it was met with widespread critical acclaim. Cordae's debut album, The Lost Boy, earned him 2 Grammy nominations at the 62nd Grammy Awards. However, I can't say the same about his next album. He finished out 2019 strong, announcing his first ever sold-out North American tour. Fun fact, I actually bought tickets to that tour, but the show in my city got canceled the day before. Despite that, YBN Cordae was one of the most buzzed-about rising artists of 2019. Little did he know, though, that this would mark the peak of his success. Only a year later, in 2020, everything changed. In August 2020, YBN was officially in the rear view. Namir posted a tweet that read, "Remember that, I'll turn it up myself, yeah, it's only me, kid," followed by another post confirming that the YBN collective had split. Ever since Cordae joined YBN in 2017, fans had been encouraging him to separate from Namir and Almighty J, as it was clear that Cordae was a far more skilled rapper than the two. Tension had been building between the group during the pandemic, with no communication between them, especially after Cordae quietly removed the YBN acronym from both his artist name on streaming platforms and social media. It seemed like those fans' wishes had finally come true.
I think this thing is a pretty solid debut from Cordae. I liked it quite a bit. It has a lot of very good things going for it.
Almost every hip-hop group in history eventually breaks up. And of course, YBN was no exception. While the group had dropped platinum hits together and carved out a way out of nothing, largely thanks to GTA after their split, Cordae knew he wasn't done. He got straight to work. Just 3 weeks later, he released his new single, Gifted, featuring Roddy Ricch, marking his first release as simply Cordae. The following year, 2021, didn't bring a full album, but he did drop a few more singles, including Super, along with a short 4-track EP, which I honestly forgot about. He also made waves with a verse on the Killer remix alongside Eminem, though it's worth noting that Eminem actually had to ask Cordae if he could re-record his verse for the track.
Your quote was, "They left us YBN in the dirt."
Yeah. It be hella shit in the background, but at the end of the day, we all brothers. We all gonna say something that's gonna up the image of this shit. It's always gonna be something with a group.
Like, shit, I remember when I dropped YBN, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a popular thing at the time. I was getting killed online. This just what come with the game. You know, I don't be tripping off anything. You go without saying, there ain't nothing against Namir and Jay. Like, you know, before I, came to the conclusion that, I was going to drop the 3 letters, I called Namir and I asked his blessing. That was what was most important to me. And which he gave it to me. That's all I needed.
Taking 2 years off between albums was a risky move for Cordae, especially as a new artist still working to establish himself. When you take that much time recording, fans automatically expect something amazing when you finally drop music. Despite the hype and anticipation building for how Cordae would follow up. The Lost Boy, his second album, didn't quite live up to the expectations. In fact, even Cordae admits it. In a deleted tweet from 2022, he wrote, "Yo, so I just drove on a 4-hour road trip and listened to both of my albums front to back. I must say, The Lost Boy. From a bird's eye view. LMAO. My bad, y'all. I'm going to do better next time. I got something to prove." Released in January 2022, From a Bird's Eye View came in at a concise 14 tracks, featuring massive names like Eminem, Stevie Wonder, and Lil Wayne. However, the album was met with mixed reviews from both fans and critics. Even worse, the sales numbers were disappointing. According to academics, From a Bird's Eye View only sold 20,000 copies in its first week. But if you ask Cordae,
I did my first verse for Killer Remix, right? I sent it over to him, and then M called. He was like, "Yo, I wanted you to be like a little more like lyrical, like on some rap shit on it." And I'm like, "All right, cool, like whatever." So he had me like redo my verse.
Regardless of the actual number, whether it was 20,000 or 25,000, that's still significantly lower than what you'd expect for an artist receiving as much praise as Cordae. Just check the stats. "Boy, I'm doing huge numbers," he raps on track 8. However, Cordae's third album would perform even worse. He decided to take another year off, with no album released in 2023. This time, Cordae had a legitimate reason. After first meeting at an LA Clippers NBA game in 2019, he began dating Japanese tennis superstar Naomi Osaka. In 2023, the couple announced the birth of their first child together, and Cordae revealed their daughter's name during a show.
Last time they said I did 19,000, but I did like 25,000. But I'm not finna tweet and be like, "Man, y'all got me wrong. I ain't do 20,000 first week. I did 25,000 first week." I ain't finna do that because it is what it is.
As a first-time father, Cordae's focus was understandably on his new baby, but that didn't mean he didn't release anything in 2023. In addition to his feature with NF on Careful in the spring, which included joining him on tour, Cordae also dropped Doomsday through Lyrical Lemonade. The track, an old unreleased song recorded with his good friend and the late rapper Juice Abrar LD, had been kept in the vault for a long time. Cordae had previously stated multiple times that the song would never be released, emphasizing the importance of respecting what Juice would have wanted. However, Cole Bennett eventually convinced Cordae to release it, and Doomsday made its debut on the first ever Lyrical Lemonade album, complete with an AI-assisted music video.
Speaking of family, my daughter Shy was just born a couple of days ago.
Hi everyone, I'm Naomi
Cordae?
and this is the GQ of
So, even though there was no album in 2023, Cordae certainly kept busy. However, the longer he went without releasing new music, the more it started to hurt his momentum. Having already admitted that he needed to prove himself after the reception of his last album, Cordae knew it was time to come back strong.
It's a blessing, and I appreciate you for like just really seeing it through. And it was like, this is the only way it would have been right. You know what I'm saying? The only way it would have been done right was obviously doing it with you. And
Putting his best foot forward, Cordae called his third album his greatest work yet. But by this point, the question remained. Was it too late? Had Cordae already lost his mainstream audience? Well, nobody could have predicted what happened next. The Crossroads is finally out tonight. Cordae shared in a message about his album. My whole mantra when making this body of work has been, push that pen, push that pen. The GOAT, Lil Wayne, gave me great advice that I put on a whiteboard. Treat every song like it's people's first time hearing you. That was the standard we followed when making this joint. Cordae's third studio album, The Crossroads, officially dropped in November 2024 under Atlantic Records. The title couldn't be more fitting for where he's at in his career, and Cordae explained the significance behind it.
This album in particular, I needed to get better. I wanted to get better. The rapper, I wanted my verses to be better. That requires like work and time, you know. So I feel like this is my best foot forward thus far.
The Crossroads is a 17-track album featuring high-profile collaborations with artists like Kanye West, Joey Badass, Anderson .Paak, and 2 more tracks with his idol Lil Wayne. Many fans agree that this is Cordae's best album to date. However, the streaming stats tell a different story. The Crossroads debuted at number 143 on this week's Billboard 200 with only 10,000 copies sold in its first week, confirming the numbers shared in a tweet by Billboard. A 10,000 first week is downright dismal, no matter how you look at it. When compared to his previous 2 albums, which both peaked as high as number 13 on the chart and at least doubled their first week sales, the drop-off is significant. For context, Ice Spice's album Y2K sold 28,000 copies, and new artist Ian sold 17,000. So how did Cordae flop so hard? One of the most common excuses thrown around is the lack of promotion. I didn't even know he dropped a new album. Damn, reads one of the many similar responses from fans. However, I wouldn't call it the worst promo ever.